Days after Crown Jewel and NXT is invading everybody. Seth Rollins at a crossroads and Rey Mysterio's got pipe dreams. We're talking about all that tonight on the Monday Night Raw After Show and AfterBuzz TV. Let's go.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, AfterBuzz.
Yo, what is going on? It's your boy Flobo Boyce. I want to say thank you for keeping me in your lives and on your second screens at Monday Night Raw After Show. Monday Night Raw, emanating live from Long Island, New York, but we're broadcasting here in our studios in Los Angeles, California. We're talking about the matches. We got some TK Raw action and Raw news. Before we get all that, let's introduce our panel. I have it written down. It's a quote from his management on my far left. He is the voice of AEW's All Elite Wrestling Dynamite After Show and a member of the NWO, Imperium, and the Inner Circle, Mr. Jack Farmer.
Woo! Too sweet. Thank you for getting that right. I'm glad you got the message. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. And she is the purveyor of Cocoa Butter Company.com and the co-founder of Women's Pro Wrestling Weekly, Miss T.K. Trinidad.
Bonjour.
Bonjour from the Canadian Assassin. How you living? We are. Also want to give a quick shout out to our fellow correspondent Jim Alexander is handling some issues back in Chicago. We wish the best for you, buddy. Overall thoughts about today's episode. I mean, it was a lot to take in. It was a solid Raw, not groundbreaking, earth-shattering, but it had some more moments.
It was coming off the heels of the Crown Jewel and everything. There were some good moments, and they were like, what's going on? And it just seems like this point, it kind of dulled. The storylines get kind of all jumbled up until the new year. So we might have to deal, wading through some poop.
But we're going through the Survivor Series 3 weeks away. NXT is invading second time. They totally run roughshod off of SmackDown. And now they're here too. Jack Farmer, thoughts about the show?
This was a show that felt like it had a few tentpole moments and things happening that really held it up with some dips in between those. But because of the big things like the NXT, you still stayed invested throughout the show. It was tough because SmackDown was so amazing and this was all such cool stuff that it's hard not to compare. But overall, I thought it turned out fine.
Yeah, but you guys are both right. The storylines and some of the things were kind of slow and had a bit of a plotting pace, but not too bad. Shout out to the chat. Dylan Matthews is giving shout outs to strong Long Island, New York. Dodgy Claire's in there, AJ's in there, Charlene's, our Michael Blake, Bosa. Everyone loves TK, for example. Just so you guys share your love in the chat too.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And also later on tonight, we'll be taking your calls, 424-354-8302. That's a number to call. And if you want your double dose of Raw action after this program is Raw Después del Show in Espanol. So if you want to listen to the Raw recap in La Lengua de España. Top story today, Seth Rollins is at a crossroads. He's just feeling himself, right? Lost the title to Bray Wyatt in Saudi Arabia, which somehow validates that show, right? Because titles almost never change hands in Saudi Arabia. He's all like, man, life sucks, bro. Triple H comes out with a proposition. TK, walk me through this. What do you think the idea of this flirted with the idea of Seth Rollins probably being an NXT recruit?
Well, here's the thing. After what we saw on Friday, and I think I told you that when we were watching the show, Jack, what we saw on Friday, NXT is no longer like that developmental brand.
Sure.
The people who are legitimately developmental as far as, mic skills or wrestling skills, all that stuff, we're not going to see them as often, if ever. So now it's like they're trying to establish it as a legitimate brand. So it's not a downgrade. It's more like, okay, why not?
Right.
So it's possible. It makes sense.
It makes sense, but Jack, would you want to see Seth Rollins? I mean, I know there was no answer to this tonight, but would you want to see Seth Rollins if you got said, yes, I'll do NXT, no problem. I'll totally be a turncoat.
It would have still felt a little bit like a step back at this point for him. I love NXT, but again, I think we're still having to come to grips and learn that it is a third brand. I do think it being on a major pay-per-view is a huge step forward for that brand. I've always said, until they're on the pay-per-views with SmackDown and Raw, I'm not going to think of them as a third brand, but now they are, and they're obviously showing up with a bang.
Sure. Yeah. Taking a step back, Survivor Series is 3 weeks away. First time ever Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. We were trying to figure this out, Jack and I, before the show. Like, what are the stakes? Like, why should we be invested in Survivor Series, especially after a takeover that same weekend?
Well, I think it's a whole different batch of characters going against each other. So you have a video game, and you would never see, I don't know, a Becky versus China ever, right? But now in this instance, you can see a lot of different people go up against each other. So, even though, belts might not be in play, you would still want to see like a Shayna versus Becky.
True.
We've never seen that.
That set down was pretty dope tonight.
If they have a Team NXT versus a Team SmackDown versus a Team Raw Survivor Series match, I think what the stakes are going to be is NXT on the same level as the other two brands? But that means NXT has to win. Because if they lose, they're going to look like chumps.
I don't think so.
Wins don't matter, though.
No.
Because I
They
remember...
just need to show out. It just needs to be a great match, which they're definitely capable of doing.
Here's my counterpoint. Bragging Rights, the precursor to this version of Survivor Series, was SmackDown vs. Raw. And SmackDown typically won those pay-per-views. But no one ever thought, well, it's changed now. They're totally the better brand, right?
Right, but this is where if they're going to do that match, we need to see that they can hang with these guys and not just hang, but beat them. Similar to on SmackDown, if every single NXT guy won on SmackDown, and that's what made them seem legit. If they went out and lost, we wouldn't say, oh, it was close.
Right.
We need to see them go over and look like, look, just because Ciampa's on NXT doesn't mean he can't wreck people on WWE, on the main roster. If they go in and they have a team match and they come up short, it's gonna, even if it's close, it's gonna be like, we told you so. You didn't belong here and you lost.
Right.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. You're coming from the perspective of we all, to a point you left us for AEW, we all we all watch NXT on the network, right? You're having a whole batch of people that are watching NXT that never saw NXT, and now they're being introduced to NXT, so they don't necessarily think that NXT is a developmental. They're just thinking it's just another WWE show. So I think that's how WWE is going about it, and there's people like us who legitimately watched NXT and people who watched it probably from the beginning that feel that way, but they're not catering to those folks or us. They're catering to the ones that are new fans.
So we both watch, all of us watch NXT. We watch it live because someone has another show to... But I'm sure you watch every episode, Jack.
I do watch it. I do enjoy it.
And I'm sure you guys saw the end of SmackDown with all the NXT talents after they like totally destroyed the SmackDown talents and they're all in the ring and Triple H is like, we are NXT. Does it look like that roster can hang in Hollywood? Because to me, it felt like these guys are very, very like small. Even though they were great, the talent's great. On Wednesday nights, I sing everyone's praises. But in that SmackDown frame, it looked like they weren't quite at that level. Is that just me? Or?
You're saying this is the thing. We have people in SmackDown and Raw that they're not necessarily quite at that level as far as box office level.
Sure.
There's different levels to NXT, like there's different levels of people in SmackDown and Raw. So there's gonna be people that are gonna stand out. And they're going to get more airtime, and there's going to be people who are mid-card, and they're going to be people that you just see once in a while. So it doesn't necessarily mean on a whole they're all going to be great.
Right.
Because none of the brands have an all-great roster.
True, absolutely.
I did think, speaking to that frame, and I don't want to sound like this guy, but they do look kind of small in that ring.
Oh, Jim.
And look, it's a fact. If you notice, even in the brawls, you'll notice they didn't have a whole lot of huge guys out there. They had Rowan, who was big, but outside of that, it was like the Zack Ryders and the Kurt Hawkins. Because I think if you had like the Viking Raiders, who just came from NXT, but if you had a lot of the bigger guys come out, they would have looked like they would have gotten manhandled. Okay. I mean, even AJ standing next to Adam Cole looked like he could have thrown Adam Cole around.
Yeah.
Which is why, even if you're a new person, I think seeing NXT for the first time, if they don't win, you're going to be like, oh, should I check these guys out? Oh, no, never mind. AJ just wiped the floor with them.
The counter to that, though, I think the one person that really showed out on both nights was Adam Cole defending the NXT title on both nights. Once against Daniel Bryan in one of the best matches of the year, I thought.
Yeah.
And tonight against Seth Rollins, which really can't count because it ended in no contest. Thoughts about the match and the idea of putting the NXT title on the line 2 times in 3 days?
I love that he put it on the... I think he should put the title on the line. I wish he had beat Rollins, and then I wish he put the title on the line again on NXT and defended it so that he could say he defended it on all 3 brands, 3 in a row, and won.
Okay, yeah.
With it being a DQ finish with Rollins, it would kind of schmoz that a little bit, but I still think that would be a cool accolade to say he's the first guy to defend his brand's title on all 3 brands in 1 week.
But did you see... Or did you think going in that he was actually going to lose the belt?
Absolutely not. But it could have been a decisive victory because he beat Daniel Bryan clean. Like with not only like, okay, I rolled him up. It was the Panorama Sunrise into the last shot. Like he destroyed him. So, I mean, I would love to see, especially Seth Rollins now, because the crowd was terrible tonight. It felt like they were very, very flat. But even when Seth Rollins was saying the Fiend, they were cheering for the Fiend. Like that, and the New York crowd was over that guy. I wouldn't mind him seeing him lose clean, personally.
I actually thought he had a chance of winning tonight because I thought he could have joined Team NXT to kind of bolster their numbers a little bit and give them a little bit more legitimacy in this rivalry that we're seeing build. Of course, turning heel and stuff like that. Anything could have happened, I thought, but I'm not shocked that he didn't win it either.
Last question about this. I know the brands are separate, but were you guys surprised that SmackDown did not show up at all to make this a three-way gang war, or is just basically the framing around NXT?
I think we're still early on in this whole thing. I want to see SmackDown show up on NXT to get revenge against NXT.
Okay.
I think we still have a lot of time between now and Survivor Series, and if we just start throwing everyone together all at once, we kind of use up everything right away. I think they can still kind of draw it out a little bit and get a few more who's going to show up where before we just throw everyone into one giant powder keg of a show.
And then there are some SmackDown folks that are like overseas right now too. They're doing shows there.
Yeah, I think they're moving to the
Europe.
UK.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Before we move on, Jack Farmer, can you tell the world how they can listen to this AfterBuzz show and other AfterBuzz shows? Cut a promo.
Yeah, you can go ahead and check us out on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. And when you're there, you can click that like, comment, subscribe button. But most importantly, you can share it with your friends. Because if you enjoy watching the show, why wouldn't your friends? So go ahead and put it on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever the other ones are, Snapchat, and let everyone else know, because share the show you like. And we definitely appreciate all of you guys for commenting and everything. As you know, I like to try to respond to as many as possible. I like interacting on social media, as do the rest of us. So hit us up, give us that 5-star review. 5-star review.
Sound effects. Josh, how's it going, man? Josh, you good?
Yeah, everything's good up in the booth.
The man in the booth, man. So let's talk about the whole Brock Lesnar Rey Mysterio program. So Brock Lesnar quit SmackDown on Friday. He's done. And for reasons that Paul Heyman said on air, which I won't repeat, he said they got a good deal for Brock Lesnar to come to Raw and to go after Rey Mysterio. 2019, Brock Lesnar, Rey Mysterio. Are we on board, TK?
Yes and no, because it's the classic David and Goliath thing. And, your mind is telling you, okay, well, you know what's going to happen. And on top of that, with Brock's, contract and how he rolls. However, Rey Mysterio is such a great wrestler that even if he does lose, the match is going to be amazing.
Sure.
So either way, I'm on board to see this. Because, Brock sometimes it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, he's going to retain the belt for another, half a year, lose it, and then get it again, because that's just what's been happening. But I'm really excited about this storyline.
It just seems very 2003 to me. Jack?
This show proved once again that Paul Heyman is the best on the mic, period.
Mm-hmm. Period.
He explained how someone made a switch in shows right after the draft, explained that away. He also made this feud with Rey Mysterio seem heated.
Right.
He made it sound like it was emotional, like they were invested in it. I believe in it because he was so fired up about it. And Brock is built for live TV, man. Just him knowing he's walking around out there, beating people up, coming after Rey Mysterio, kind of puts you. And his son, Dominic, man, you need to stay far away from wherever.
Everywhere.
From everywhere.
Stay home.
Stay away from everywhere.
With this feud, is there a potential that we could see the return of the Brock Lock? I remember that from an episode of SmackDown from 2003.
Wow.
It's like the moment this started happening, I'm just like, oh, we got to see the return of the Brock Lock for sure.
As long as he doesn't do it on Dominic.
Wow, that is a deep cut, dude. I forgot about that. That's the Brian Hebner referee days. About Paul Heyman's skills, and I know he's been dope forever, but for me, I remember in 2017, they changed the idea, but there was going to be a time for Survivor Series, we had both brands going each other, and Jinder Mahal was a WWE champion, and Paul Heyman cut a promo making Jinder seem absolutely legitimate.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, this guy's amazing. They got cold feet, they gave it to AJ Styles, and it never happened. But that whole promo was like, oh my gosh, this guy is dope.
That's why he's great, because it's a lot of people will say this guy is great because he makes fun of people or puts someone down. Paul Heyman makes everyone look amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He makes the
wants
opponent
to,
look amazing. He makes the show sound amazing. Brock looks amazing. Everyone looks better after every promo he does.
And he's a storyteller. Like he can. It's one of those things where you know how we talked about how WWE like builds a story and then they just kind of let it die and then they just don't explain.
Yeah.
Like he should do like that. You know, just pop up in the window and explain.
What you're seeing here.
Pop-up video.
Yeah, it could be whatever.
Yeah.
But just say like you just wanna know what happened to this storyline, and he'll just explain it in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then you'll be fine. Like, all right, cool. Like we can roll with it. Instead of oh. Okay, this didn't exist. Okay, cool. This is what we're doing.
I'm the advocate for continuity. So F5, Dio Madden went through a table. That was one of your blue things, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh, I feel so sorry for him. If I were there, I would definitely like be there to help him out.
Make sure
whether he needed it or not.
Make sure he's taken care of.
I'm fine, TK. I'm fine.
I mean, he didn't come back.
You didn't come back, and no one mentioned him like once again.
No, they mentioned him twice. They mentioned him twice.
I was like, Jerry, you're going to try to be like concerned? He's like, so anyway, back to the next one.
No, he mentioned him twice, and but he didn't come back, so I'm very concerned. I hope he's okay.
That scene from Austin Powers, I'm just very badly injured. Whatever, Dio, we're fine. Just moving on about that kind of boo things. The whole Rusev Lashley thing is hitting to the other head. I know you guys love this storyline. I won't poo-poo on it because it's here and it won't go away. So, but Rusev comes out, his beard's going back. He's not going to do the whole mustache thing anymore. Good for him. Yeah, good for him. Beard gang. Yeah. Lashley goes, man, I pulled my groin doing very sexual like things. It brings out Drew McIntyre to fight in this place. So walk me through this, Jack. So they had a match. Drew McIntyre was going to lose, but then RKO out of nowhere?
The RKO out of nowhere will always get a pop from me.
Yeah, for sure.
I do not care.
Thank you, Orton.
It doesn't matter. Every time it's just like, whoa, RKO. So I loved seeing that. Randy Orton deserves so much credit for making things seem serious when he's out there. Like
always.
This was like a silly little feud, whether you like it or not, doesn't matter. It's just kind of a silly little thing. But when he comes out, you're like, ooh, this got serious. This is a big deal now.
It's not a silly feud, and here's where the storyline kind of gets a little messed up.
Okay.
Because well, I mean, it was already,
shot.
it already is what it is. However, what they're failing to realize is that this is an affair that's happening, right? And the fact that Drew McIntyre is fighting for Bobby Lashley, that means that he agrees with the affair, but he's a married man.
That was my question.
So it's just kind of like, birds of a feather type thing. So in continuity with that storyline, they could be like, who's also on board in agreement with this affair, and there should be nobody in the locker room unless other cheaters.
What happens when McIntyre takes Lana from Lashley?
Oh, man. WrestleMania, bro. That's So
yeah, I hope they don't do that. Now you're pushing it too far.
It'll be a Survivor Series match where the winner gets Lana. No. All the people.
See, that's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm worried about.
Who are with Lana battle it out for the.
I hope it doesn't. That was my
main problem with the storyline. It's a situation that cannot be solved with a match. That's why, to me, I'm like, what's the point of this? Is Lana going to be like, oh, Rusev, you won that match so good. I love you back now. Sorry, Lashley.
Yeah.
It doesn't make.
I mean, that's the only way it could end.
Oh man.
Like if they do it that way, where like now somebody else battles for her. Then that just seems very
I'd rather see Naomi team with the Usos than that, man. I really would. But what we saw after the match
I
was.
always agree with that. Shout out to the Usos and the Max.
Shout out to Max. It looked like Team Hogan and Team Flair were showing up again. Is this going to be a number 2 version of this match at Survivor Series, or just kind of like a one-off thing with Ricochet getting involved and Orton and all those guys getting involved?
I think this is just a sort of quick way of building a singles match for Ricochet and Randy Orton. It gives them a chance. You throw them both out there, they scuffle it up a little bit, and then you go, okay.
Donnybrook.
They have a little Donnybrook. There's some fisticuffs. And now we go, okay, now they're going to build their own feud.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be a long-term. I hope it's not a long-term team battle again.
Sure. Speaking of long-term, it's now time for one of the most long-term segments. Here is now time for TK's Boudoir.
Today's Boudoir is brought to you by Center Inn Skincare and Candles.
Putting you over, brother. Come on.
So you need any cocoa butter, you need any candles, you need any body scrubs, please hit up centering.com. You can get a nice little discount if you put on AfterBuzz TV. In today's boudoir, we just have one person, which is not common.
Not the guy going through a table. That would suck.
No.
Yeah.
It's not him. The one person is Lana. She always looks fabulous no matter what she's doing. Whether she's wrestling or she's not wrestling, she's always on point. I just really hope that I don't know if she was the one who created this storyline. I kind of have a feeling she did because she just wants to get back on TV. However, I just hope that the next storyline will be something of substance versus scandal.
Right.
That will still get the same pop.
Because the last storyline was also a scandal, right? With Aiden English and the whole Happy Lana Day.
Yeah.
I don't know why she wants to pitch herself beating Paul.
But the Happy Lana, that was going well until they threw in the Aiden English thing. And then at that point, they all went off.
Yeah.
And then Aiden English is like a commentator versus 205.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like,
yeah.
That was going well.
Happy Lana Day was over for you?
Yeah, I thought it was.
I mean, Rusev Day was great. Lana Day, Aiden Day, it got worse and worse.
Aiden Day was bad.
Rusev Day was so over, it kind of buried everything else.
Yeah, but, I hope she, the wrestling thing is just not for her. So
she's a great character, though.
She is a great character.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's just like they need to just find a good storyline that does not affect real-life marriage. True. Not that it is affecting it, but it just kind of looks weird.
Shout out to the King's Court, but moving on. The Asuka and Kairi Sane takes on Solid Flair and Natalya. I thought this was a tag team match, player. So let's talk about this. Natalya teaming with Charlotte Flair, ? And Asuka taps out, ? What happened tonight?
I don't know.
I wasn't a fan of the outcome of this. I think what they're trying to do, what I hope they're doing, is they're trying to build a lot of really legitimate women's tag teams, and not just like throwing together parts that haven't been used in the back, but saying, look, Charlotte's a star, Natty has history with being a big player.
Right.
Let's make them a team. And I think there's also a part of them that still wants to make Banks and Bayley a team again at some point. And I think they're trying to make real legitimate teams here.
Yeah, but Charlotte and Natalya, I don't think could be a real legitimate team. Period.
Unless you do the whole legacy thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because you could do that, but they to me a team, it has to either look like it makes sense or feel like it makes sense.
Sure.
And with Natalya and Charlotte, it doesn't. It's neither one of those.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they hang out after, like they're probably cordial to one another, but I don't see them hanging out in the car singing karaoke. Like it doesn't seem like that. And for a really cohesive tag team, I feel like you have to know each other, not necessarily inside and out, but for it to work, so you can read each other's plays and all this stuff. So I'm just not I'm not believing it.
Well, the Bludgeon Brothers, you could see singing karaoke together in the car, but no, but
and you and Flobo, I can see singing karaoke together in the car.
I'm also Bludgeon Brothers.
if I could turn back time,
if I can find a way. Ow! Sorry. But the bad thing, you're absolutely right. It felt weird having Charlotte tag with anybody, let alone Natalya.
Yeah, because she's such just an individual person.
Does it matter, though, that Asuka lost by submission the way she did?
that's what I hated.
Yes,
Yeah, for
because
sure.
that's how Asuka lost the streak too to Charlotte.
Right.
Like it feels like
She just taps out all the time.
She just, with her, it just taps out. Maybe it's like a condition or a contract. I don't know. It was just
I don't
like,
get pinned, I just tap
yeah, it's just like she's such a great wrestler. It's like, why can't she tap out Charlotte?
I don't think champions should ever be losing unless they're losing the title. I think they should always be looking strong. So I thought this was, I think they're just trying to force in a tag team title match for Survivor Series, and that's why, because now they're like, oh, they're the number one contenders, they beat them. But I hate when they do that. I hate when a champion loses. They should look strong.
But the thing is, the joke to me is it's not like we don't have enough females in the locker room.
That's true.
Like,
but how many elevated though?
How many are elevated?
Yeah. To care about them.
If it was like Dana Brooke and Ember Moon, would we really believe
but
that?
That's the problem. I think this is what I said 6 months ago.
Right.
Of course we can't invest in them because you haven't built up the time to invest in them. So it's like, okay, Survivor Series is around the corner, but if you had at least paired them together, and then we know that they're, somewhat of a tag team, then we could believe it.
Yeah.
But if it's like, okay, well, we're just going to throw, do you believe Natalya and Charlotte?
Well, let's think about.
I think Charlotte could win any match.
She can. She absolutely
can. But I don't think there's a legit, Charlotte is legitimately a singles competitor.
Right.
Like if they were a tag team, they wouldn't be a tag team for very long. Even if they won the belts, they wouldn't be together for very long.
That's fair.
It's been an issue with the women's tag team division because if you go back to SmackDown on Friday, even though Bianca Belair got involved, the match was scheduled as Fire and Desire against Dana Brooke and Carmella, which would have been a weird period to begin with. Now I know it really wasn't a match, but who was around to have this tag team match if you're not using Cross and Bliss or anything like that?
Right.
So I was worried about the depth of that division, and I understand why we have these ragtag teams. But there's something that didn't really sit right with me with this match. The way it came together, the way that Asuka tapped out so simply. Yeah,
it's
just kind of weird.
It's so you can build it. Yes, we just need to. They just need to build it up long term. If they are gonna do a Charlotte and Natalya, then we need to see it more than a few times to actually believe it.
But isn't this the few to believe it? They've got to build them up. They've got to have a first match.
They do, but I'm saying I'm saying them as examples. I don't think they should be a tag team. There are other people that could possibly be a tag team that would be believable over a period of time. With Charlotte and Natalya, it's just what?
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. I think Charlotte's a star and should be a singles competitor. I'm looking at it more from we need challengers right now, and as mentioned, it's too late to build up other people for Survivor Series. Right. But I agree. I think we need to see more of the women's roster.
They could build up. They just never I've been talking about this for almost the whole year. It's there are people in the locker room you could build up. You could either build up on there's so many channels other than live TV. You could build it up on YouTube. You could build it on social media. At least you're seeing it in some way, shape, or form or fashion. There's not enough time. There's more than enough. We have a 3-hour show.
Sure.
So it's definitely possible.
100%.
Maria Menounos says #push Ember Moon. She said it multiple times in the chat. I mean, Ember had a program in the summer. Yeah, I haven't seen her since.
Well, isn't she injured? She's injured, and she just started. She's the head coach of some.
Yeah, one of her and her.
But when they brought her up was the perfect time.
Absolutely.
Or either pairing her with somebody else and having somebody speak to her, because I don't think she can really do well on the mic.
I don't remember.
On the mic.
I remember one promo against Bayley, but that's just one promo.
Yeah, so I don't think she's really good on the mic. So it's okay, but she's charismatic and she's a great character. They could have built her up, and saw what they did with that.
Rolling down the hill.
Yeah.
Speaking of rolling down the hill, our next match, Buddy Murphy against Cedric Alexander. These were guys that were both poised to be up the card. The match felt like a step back for both men only because they were facing each other. And I really thought this match was going to be a non-match. I thought there would be an invasion there because it was so a throwback of 2 years ago. Thoughts about the match, Buddy Murphy, Cedric Alexander. What's next for them?
That's another one where Paul Heyman, remember saying Paul Heyman should pop up and say, this is what happened? Because at one point,
my client.
Was it 6 weeks ago, maybe 8 weeks ago, they were pushing Cedric Alexander. He had, even before that, I think we had Erin Monroe on Women's Pro Wrestling Weekly. Go check out the show. She was talking about how he got called up to Raw. And that was late spring, early summer, something like that. Yeah. So, and they made a big announcement. Because, some people just show up. So they made a big announcement, which makes you think that he was going to have a storyline. We didn't see that. Then we saw a little bit of a push in the summer, and then he dropped off. It's just what's...
It's true.
Paul Heyman just needs to pop up and say, this is what happened, even if it's a fabrication, but it's now you throw these two together, and yes, it is a throwback, but it's what's the purpose of it?
That's a great match, but somehow wasted at the same time.
And both of them are great. Yeah. Both of them, and because even Buddy Murphy had that amazing match with Roman Reigns. Cedric Alexander was feuding for the U.S. title. I don't know.
BMP.
I love both of them. I want them both to get pushed. Buddy Murphy, getting a straight win here. I think that I feel like this hurt Cedric more than it helped Buddy Murphy.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was one of those matches where if you're showing a friend about what quote unquote cruiserweights can do, it's great, but it just feels storyline wise that it really had no payoff.
Yeah, it made no sense.
Unfortunately. But moving on, it's now time for our new segment, Raw News.
Got a little music and stuff. So did you guys watch Crown Jewel?
I did.
Did
No.
you watch it?
Okay.
Did you not watch because you didn't have time, or you didn't watch it because
I didn't have time.
They're non-canon.
They're not. To be fair, I don't really watch the Crown Jewel events, but this week with it being on Halloween, and then I work during the weekend typically. So I didn't really get a chance to do it.
So a whole bunch of drama happened after actually before Crown Jewel started. There was a delay in the show. I got cut off abruptly. Apparently, Saudi Arabia owes WWE a ridiculous amount of money to the point where they allegedly pretty much just cut the broadcast because it's like, you owe us money. It's like, pulling like,
yikes.
It's done. Allegedly. So after all that said and done, now the wrestlers were trying to go home, but they were stuck on the tar pit for about 4 to 5 hours. In that time, one of the reasons allegedly happened was the guy who was fueling the truck, he just decided to go home.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
He just decided to go
You could do
home.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess you could do that. He just decided to go home. Then they finally, I guess, fueled the plane, and they were about to leave. Then they had to wait 24 hours before they left. A lot of wrestlers kind of did like some tweets here and there, very cryptic. Some of them said they're not going back. After all that said and done, WWE made an announcement that they have partnered with Saudi Arabia for additional years up to 2027.
Makes sense. There's a Q3 sales call was this week. They're looking for their balance sheet. It makes sense. It's a business deal.
It is a business deal, but then here's the issue. You have some wrestlers who are not allowed to go, like we discussed before, Sami Zayn, Aleister Black. Then you have wrestlers who are refusing to go, Daniel Bryan, John Cena. Then you have more wrestlers maybe after this situation, because imagine you're in a country where there's slight turmoil or there's just issues going around, and now when you thought you were going home, you're not going home, and they give you the excuse that there's mechanical issues and the guy who's fueling the truck is home.
Gotcha.
Like, so to me that makes me very anxious. Like, am I going home or what?
Yeah.
So now you're gonna have more wrestlers who probably not gonna want to go. So are they gonna put in the contracts for the new wrestlers, force them to go? Like, what's gonna happen with that? And now Saudi Arabia, they're requiring certain people. That's why we have a lot of the old heads coming.
Old heads.
So it's just kind of like,
I still got it. That Barry Max, she did Wrestling Federation.
yeah, pretty much. So like, what is it gonna resort to? So it's a very very mixed up situation. Yes, a lot of people on Twitter are saying Vince is about the money, which is, fine, if that's what he's about, but there's a lot of stuff in play.
Yeah.
So that's
Raw news?
That's Raw news.
That's Raw news.
Just
I love the point tonight.
A lot going on with that. So hopefully it all kind of works itself out.
Yeah, well, I hope so too, man. Moving on, we have ourselves an intergender tag team match player.
It's the
Mixed tag players. Yo, Andrade, Selena Vega taking on Sin Cara and Carolina. This was a nice little storyline started off last week, having the both masked side, the old version versus the new version of luchadors, and what that means, the implications. But my concern is this: Sin Cara has been in the undercard for forever, and Carolina was new. The crowd did suck tonight, but is it hard to buy into a match like this with these kind of stakes?
I think this is a perfect mid-card feud.
Perfect.
I think it's perfect because
flawless.
Because look, we want to see Andrade get pushed. I want to see him win matches, but I don't want to see him beat all the guys I like. Sin Cara's fine, but this is a good way for him to get some wins, to get a storyline feud win without costing someone that we want to see winning more, without costing a Cedric Alexander or a Aleister Black or a bigger name like an AJ Styles.
Right.
Do you think he's box office?
Andrade?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
With Zelina, yes. Zelina, I think, is an MVP on the microphone. I think she gives him the character and charisma that he needs to get over. And his in-ring wrestling is top notch.
I agree.
So what would be the storyline for him to actually get the belt or have a chance? I think he has had a chance at getting the belt, but it's like, do you actually see it on him?
He's got to string together a few months of wins.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of time to make up for losses.
There's certain talents that can jump from zero to the top. I really think he has to be a guy to get that
The build up.
Yeah, that IC, that US title first, so you can buy into him. You know, because he has a technical skill, and he's working on his English, sure, but he's not a guy you see instantly like, oh, that's the guy.
Right.
But he's like a thinking man's wrestler, like in that sort of kind of way.
Yeah, you got to build him up almost like a Seth Rollins in the sense that he can beat people, he can wrestle people, he can outperform in the ring. But right now we've seen him lose so many times. We have to forget that. And
Which they did on, and then that's the thing too. It's like he was in when he first came up. That was the position he was. They were trying to figure out the storylines. He wasn't losing as much, and then he just started losing a lot of matches. It's like.
Yeah, it's a surprise. We don't like it no more.
Shout out to Dylan. It's his birthday on Friday.
What? Shout out to Dylan, man.
Shout out to Dylan.
We should have a party. I will make a gift, but I don't know how to do that. We're gonna
So you'll have a party for Dylan in Australia?
No, I'm gonna do a gift for him, but I don't know how to do that.
Or maybe we do like this, and he makes his own gift.
Okay, yeah.
Happy birthday,
Dylan!
This is so lazy. Make it yourself.
Yeah, no, you do it yourself. It's an IKEA card.
Open the phone lines 424-354-8302. That's the number to call 424-354-8302. Let's talk about Humberto Carrillo and the Street Profits taking on the OC.
Humberto Carrillo.
You know it's the Magnum.
6-man tag team match, player. So Street Profits come out and they want the smoke. And Humberto, I didn't think he was gonna say a word, but he did.
He shouldn't have. He shouldn't have. I don't mean that.
Ow.
I know. I keep being hard on the guy. But look. It's not. This one wasn't his fault. The Street Profits are just so exciting and so fun on the microphone that every time he talked, you couldn't help but feel like it was a bit of a downer in the energy.
Right.
And again, it's not his fault. I think there's not many people who could have kept up that level.
All right, team. We got our first caller of the night right here coming on. And caller, what's your name? Tell us where you're from.
Donez Key from North Hollywood.
Donez, how you doing?
Around the corner.
He's outside right now.
It's going. It's going good. How you guys doing?
Good.
It's good.
What's
8 out
your
of 10.
question?
8 out of 10. We aight. Yeah, what's your question, player?
So my question was regarding followed up from basically this past weekend with Crown Jewel to Power Struggle with New Japan to even with the UFC fight, all about cross-promotional and branding.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came down to it, especially when the NXT invasion from Friday, do you think that's an industry-wide thing, or do you think after Survivor Series it's just going to be like, oh yeah, we just did it one time and it's over?
It's a good question. What do you guys think?
Well, there's a couple things. One, what a lot of people don't realize is that, for me, interviewing different folks, I've realized that wrestling has impacted them as far as announcers or MCs or hosts way more than you thought. Now it's cool to admit that you like wrestling. Mm-hmm. You had serious wrestling fans and you had people who kind of did in the closet and they didn't want to admit to it, whatever.
I was going to agree, but they made it sound weird.
But you have a lot of people who said that wrestling impacted, the way that they are in front of the camera. And then, with the cross promotion, it makes sense. You want to tie yourself, WWE is a hot brand, UFC is a hot brand. You want to tie yourself to different brands in order to get more eyes on your product. So, even with boxing, it's like some people who didn't know who Tyson Fury is. He has a great personality. Yeah. Next time he fights, you might buy that pay-per-view.
Absolutely. That's a good point. Real good
point.
Would
he could have been a very good professional wrestler, Tyson Fury, if he had done that instead. I think he's doing okay with boxing. He's doing all right. Yeah. But he definitely could have had a career as a pro wrestler. He's built for it.
Yeah,
size, charisma, he's great.
And you even had The Rock at UFC. Why not?
Cross promotion will never go away. I think we're always going to try to take two different groups and bring them together to growing individual brands. With wrestling, it's always interesting though, because it's interesting to see how wrestlers don't leave their brand very often. It's wrestling fans like wrestling stuff, but they don't typically. It's hard to get them to transition to other things via cross promotion.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if that changes at all. But obviously, right now, as a wrestling fan, I love new fans coming in.
Yeah.
I think it will change because the athletes that are coming up, they're starting younger. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, watch Women's Wrestling Weekly. We have a lot of, new talent, but they started when they were, 16.
True.
Because there's so many schools out. So they're starting younger, and they have a lot of other things that are going on, whether they're gymnasts or they're this or they're that. So there is more possibility for cross-promotion where you have people who, they wanted to become a wrestler, and they finally did it when they were, 24, 25, and then they finally made it to the WWE. The timing is later. Whereas now the new wrestlers that are coming up, they're so much younger that there's possibilities for them to cross over and do other things. Like you have Thunder Rosa, who is she's doing mixed martial arts.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's
so cool. You have wrestlers who are doing that. It's just the age. I think the scene of wrestling is going to change with the younger folks who are coming up and how they're starting.
Yeah, thanks for your call, man. Appreciate it.
Anytime. You guys have a good night.
Thank you too. Thank you.
Shout out to Jeffrey Reimer, who says his birthday's on the 11th. Just throwing it out there. I understand. I know people have their birthday season.
Happy birthday! You can remind me on Wednesday too. I'll say happy birthday. I love birthdays.
Oh yeah, you have like what? 45 of them in a
I
row?
have a birth season, but next year I might have a birth year.
You can't do that. That's not how that works.
Why can't I do it?
Because a birthday is a day. That's
why you say birth year.
But your birthday already happened. You were born when your birth year.
Yeah, but it's a lead up.
All right, moving on.
Time for the birth decade.
Every day. Last match of the night with the Viking Raiders taking on the East Hampton Polo Boys. I know I had the East Hampton Polo Boys going over clean. Got filled time with tag team matches to play us. What? Jack Farmer, walk me through this. We're in Long Island, so of course we got the rich boys in their polos in November getting destroyed by the Viking Raiders.
I want more East Hampton Polo Boys. I was all about it.
Posse.
I wanted to dress up as an East Hampton Polo Boy for Halloween, but I didn't find him until today.
There'll be chance by then.
Why? Who has anyone beaten more random teams than the Viking Raiders?
I'll be right back.
All right, folks, we got another caller. Caller, what's your name? Tell us where you're from.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
What's up in the air?
Hey, everybody. My name is Orlando.
Hey.
Orlando from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Orlando from Fort Lauderdale.
Orlando, how's it
What's
going?
up, man?
I'm good.
What's your question?
Let's actually discuss something. Since they noticed the lineup for some listeners, it seems
I think we're breaking up a bit, man. Can you repeat your question?
that we're going to use for the Universal Champion.
Can you repeat the question? I think we lost you a bit.
Yeah.
I was stating that the real question that we should be asking is Adam Cole going to be facing the WWE and the Universal Champion?
It doesn't seem that way. With Rey Mysterio challenging Brock Lesnar, it looks like the WWE title is going to be tied up in that feud. But as far as if it's going to be a Bray Wyatt Adam Cole match, that's a possibility, but I doubt it. If I was WWE now, I would give those three top titles their own separate storylines for Survivor Series because TakeOver is the night before.
Who's Bray Wyatt's next?
As of right now, no one. But there's time, 3 weeks.
Yeah, it'll probably start to clear up, and we'll probably see a bit of that this week on SmackDown. But yeah, I'd imagine that Cole's probably going to defend the title. He's in the War Games match.
He's in the War Games match.
Yeah, so he's probably not even going to be on.
So is Shayna.
Survivor Series.
So is Shayna as well, but she's going to be in the triple threat match.
So here's the thing about that, because we were talking about this before the show. On NXT, there was 4 women against 5 women, and then it was announced that Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler will be team captains. So I believe that Shayna Baszler will be outside of the actual cages, but not participating. That is my theory. I'm not sure if it's legitimate, but that would make sense to protect her the night before Survivor Series.
That's what I would predict, too.
I don't know. I think that Shayna's probably going to be in the cage with all her girls, with her four horsewomen.
I mean, it looks better visually, but
That's true. That's my girl.
Why can't she do both?
She can do both.
I mean, she can't. If she does do both, then that's gonna be badass.
She has the physical ability to, but if that was my talent, I'm like, whoa, I'm saving you for Sunday.
Especially if you're selling tickets for a match with someone, I wouldn't want to put them through a War Games right before they go into a big match with Becky Lynch, which is gonna be one of their top matches.
But
it'd still be awesome. I mean, I understand.
That would be
both
awesome.
sides.
But you guys are forgetting that Sasha did defend her championship and lost at TakeOver, and then she was in SummerSlam after the next night.
That's a very good point. And again, I don't think I do think Shayna Baszler can physically do it. I'm just looking at the stakes of both stipulations. If I was managing talent, I would say that's way too much. But again, I was wrong before.
But do you think Ronda will show up
on Survivor Series?
Yeah. The fact that Becky brought up her name.
I didn't think about it, but I mean, if she comes back, it'll be a cool surprise. But it's more of a Rumble thing. Thanks so much for your call, Orlando. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Have a nice night.
Have a good one.
It's about time for us to get out of here. Jack Farmer, where can the world find you online?
Yeah, you can find me at jaxiefarmer.com as well as at RealJackFarmer across all social media. Also, check me out on the AEW After Show every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific right here on AfterBuzz TV.
That part. You can find me on everything at TK Trinidad. You can check out tktrinidad.com. And also, if you want some cocoa butter, you can go to centerincompany.com.
That's right, at Flobo Boyce. You can follow me at Flobo Boyce on Twitter, at Flobito on Instagram, and at DJ Flobito on Instagram, and Flobito.com. I'll be back Wednesday for NXT, but until then, buzz you later.
Ciao.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.